rocking the crusty boy. Yes, people, welcome back to my 2005 Mk5 VW Golf GTI. It's been a while. This is the car that started the channel. You know, it's funny, in the last year I've been on some crazy adventures and driven some very cool stuff, but in the comments of almost every one of my videos, there are quite a few of you who just want to see more of the Golf. And in fact, it's been a little over a year now that I've owned this car, so I figured we're probably due a sort of updated, more detailed review of what it's like to live with. Let's start with a quick refresher. This is my Mk5 Golf GTI, which I bought with a little over 100,000 miles on the clock for £2,800. For me, it's pretty much the perfect spec. 3 doors, cloth seats, manual gearbox, and 18-inch diamond-cut Monza wheels. Aesthetically, it's a little scruffy, or a lot scruffy. But hey, it was cheap. So, having lived with it for over a year now, the big question is, do I still love this car as much as I used to? Well, I'll tell you in a second, but first I think you need to do something for me. You need to subscribe. You're not, are you? Do you know how I know that? Because I went on the YouTube Analytics app recently and I found out that 9% of my views come from subscribers. 9! That means 9% of you right now watching this are subscribers, and 91% are taking the piss. Subscribe. Good. Anyway, back to the car. 1 year on, do I still love it as much as I used to? Yes. If not more. In fact, I'm going to double down on what I said in my very first video. If you are a petrol head on a tight budget and you're looking for a great daily driver that's also going to satisfy your inner driver, this is one of, if not the, best options available. Why? Well, you know why. It's a Golf GTI. It's really good at everything. Not the best in any one area, but an amazing all-rounder. And the nice thing about that is it means that I can confidently recommend this car to you, whoever you are, without knowing the first thing about you. Because the nice thing about the Golf GTI is it's the right car for everyone, really. And of all the things this car does well, the 3 areas where it really stands out to me are practicality, quality, and performance. And I'm going to talk about those first 2 first. I know that it's not very sexy to talk about practicality, but you know what? Performance only matters to me 1 or 2 days of the month when I'm on a nice bit of road like I am today. The rest of the time, what do I do with my car? I sit in London traffic, I drive to the supermarket, I run errands. And as a daily, this thing is brilliant. I mean, of course it is. It's a Golf. The interior is one of my favorite things about it. It's really high quality in here. Everything just feels nicely made. Everything that you touch, all the buttons, everything works properly. It's all where you think it is. I really like that about a car. I think it's why I lean towards German cars. I just enjoy things that feel properly made. It's also the reason I'll probably never own a French car. Sorry, France. It's very comfortable in here. I've said before that I think the damping is perfectly balanced between performance and comfort. It's not too rolly when you drive it fast, but it's way more supple than your average hot hatch. And it's not just German and efficient in here. There's some really lovely details, like the strip of aluminium across the dash, like the tartan seats. I love the seats in this car. No other car has them. They are iconic. If you buy a Golf GTI and you spec leather, we can't be friends. Also, I really like the gauge cluster in this thing. Stay with me on this, but it kind of looks a little bit to me like the one from a Bugatti Chiron. Google it. Look, I do realise that pretty much everything that I just said is as true of a regular non-GTI Golf, but that's fine with me. In fact, let's have a little moment of Golf appreciation, because they've sold 35 million of these things for a good reason. It's really good at being a car. Every car is annoying in some way. Every car I've ever driven has a gross sticky button, or the cup holder's too small, or the indicator click is too loud. Every car except the VW Golf. And I promise to stop being an old man and talking about my comfy seats in a second. We'll get to performance, but if you're as much of a car nerd as I am, then you'll appreciate that there is joy in a car that just does the job it was designed to do flawlessly. That's truer of a Golf than anything I've ever driven before. Okay, let's talk about costs very quickly and then we'll move on to more interesting things. I bought this car for £2,800. That is a bloody bargain as far as I'm concerned. This is a lot of car for that money. Interestingly, speaking to a few of you in the comments from various different countries, I gather they're a lot more expensive in different parts of the world. So, sorry, they're really cheap in England. Maintenance, look, it's going to be different for everyone. I'm not going to promise you that if you buy one of these, it will be perfect. But I can tell you that in the 15 months that I've owned mine, I've had to do absolutely nothing to it. Tyres and a minor service. Nothing's gone wrong. It starts first time. It's been flawless mechanically. Actually, that's not true. It's got one really strange quirk. I've got my little twisty knob here for the electric wing mirror adjustment. And if you put it onto the right-hand side wing mirror, you can adjust it. Everything works fine. If you put it on the left one, it moves both of them. So you must always remember in this car to adjust your right wing mirror first. Petrol. It's thirsty. It's a thirsty car. Maybe that's just because of how I drive it, but it uses a lot of petrol. I wish I could be more detailed than that, but I actually actively avoid reading the MPG, so I'm not sure. But I go to petrol stations a lot. And finally, insurance. This car is in insurance group 34, I believe, which is quite high, even for a hot hatchback. That's the same group as the 5-cylinder, 2.5 litre Ford Focus ST. So the bad news is if you're 17 and you're watching this, yes, it's a cheap car, but you probably aren't going to be able to get one for a few years. Get a regular Golf. Okay, that will do on the practicality chat, because let's be honest, talking about how practical a VW Golf is kind of like talking about how wet water is. We know. Let's talk about what this thing's like to drive. Now, when I bought this car, I hadn't really driven many fast cars, many cars at all, and that's not true anymore. I've driven a lot of stuff now. And as a result, this car doesn't really feel that fast anymore to me. It used to be mind-blowingly quick, which is kind of embarrassing to say, but it doesn't feel quick to me anymore. Fast enough to enjoy a good B road or blast along the motorway, but not like, oh my God, fast. And I think actually that's less to do with the amount of horsepower, 197, and more to do with the way it delivers its power. I've said this before, it's kind of too smooth. There's not a lot of excitement about accelerating with this thing. Compare that to a Bar 595, same power, same acceleration, twice as exciting, because when the boost kicks in, it kicks in a big blob and punches you in the face, and it's hilarious. I could do with a bit of that in this car, and that's something that you can fix with modification or a little remap. Speaking of modification, we should probably address the elephant in the room here, because those of you who followed the channel from the beginning will know that I have claimed on many occasions that I'm going to modify this car into an absolute weapon. As you may have noticed, it's still bone stock, with the exception of that K&N air intake, which I was given. And there's no reason for that. I just kind of haven't gotten around to it. I haven't had the money lying around. I do plan on still adding a few bits to this car. I'd love to get the steering wheel retrimmed. I'd love to get my disgusting wheels recut. I'd like an exhaust, and I'd like a subtle remap. Oh, and maybe a short shifter. I like those. Stick those things on it and you're looking at the perfect car as far as I'm concerned. The handling in this car is classic hot hatch. It really has a sense of fun, this thing. And that's surprising because it's so sensible most of the time. Most hot hatches, when you're sat in traffic, you've got the loud exhaust and the firm suspension to remind you you're in a car that wants to be driven hard. But in this thing, you kind of forget that it's a performance car most of the time. And then you sling it down a B road and it's hilarious. The steering is direct, it's got plenty of feel through it. The suspension, as I've mentioned, might be the best thing about the whole car. Perfectly balanced between comfort and performance. So it's supple, but it doesn't roll around too much when you drive it hard. Some cars can go fast, but you can tell they just don't want to be driven too hard. The Golf R32 was like that. It doesn't want to be unsettled. This car doesn't mind at all. You can chuck it around like an idiot. And I like that. Just like a hot hatch should. Earlier this year, Henry Catchpole did a really good video on Carfection about his Renault Clio 182. And he described that car as his automotive palate cleanser. I completely relate to that with this car. Whatever I've driven, whenever I get back into my Golf at the end of the day, I'm always happy to be back in it. In fact, quick name drop, I met Henry Catchpole at the Frankfurt Motor Show a couple of months ago. I told him that I own this car and he said he almost bought one of these instead of his Clio. End of conversation. Catchpole endorsed. Honestly, the worst thing about this car might be that it's very difficult to sell. not because no one wants to buy it, but because I can't let go of it. I've been considering switching it up and getting something else, but I know that whatever I get next, unless I spend way more money, it's going to be less good than this in several areas. That's the problem with the GTI. It ruins other cars for you. There we have it then, the Golf GTI. The perfect car for pretty much everyone. Not really a shocking conclusion, is it?